And on another platform.
And another platform.
And on another platform.
And another platform. And just for fun, another platform. Yes.
I'm proud of myself for even knowing that there is such a word as platform.
I know, right?
It's not my habit to be so up to date on the terminology, the lingo.
Yeah. Though you do try, which I appreciate. Hi, Manny. How are you? One of my friends who I have not seen in a very, very long time, who is a badass and works with Nike. She is one of the biggest athletes out there wearing a hijab, scaling Everest and every other kind of mountain, and doing it beautifully. Hi, Eddie. I hope we get to go to the Magic Castle together soon, my friend. I miss you. I miss you too, Manny, very much. Hi, everybody.
Hi,
Happy
everybody.
Sunday.
This is the ultimate in personal communications.
Yeah.
No, it's true. I mean, last week we heard from someone in Peru.
Yeah.
And somewhere in Brussels, I think.
Yeah.
And then.
Of course he knows what a hijab is, you silly rabbit. Of course he does. I will show you some pictures of her. Mind-blowing what this young lady can accomplish and has accomplished. Hello from Cedartown, Georgia. Hello in Cedartown,
Georgia. Hello, Cedartown.
Lynn, I appreciate your pumpkin, and in theory, it is the time for us to be feeling full. But it's 90. Let's see what it is now. It's 93 degrees outside. So I'll be honest with you, not feeling real fall yet.
Yeah.
But hoping it happens soon, because I am melting. But yeah.
Hard to feel autumnal.
Yeah. Hard to feel autumnal as you're sweating.
I remember my first, either my first or second Christmas time out here, changing subject just ever so slightly, seeing a guy spraying flocking onto Christmas trees, onto fake Christmas trees. It's like, oh, this is California.
That's so funny.
This is not New Jersey.
This is, it's a little different. Well, I always talk about my mother-in-law when she was going to come, when my husband's family was going to come out for our wedding, which was in November. And my mother-in-law says to me, do I need a raincoat? You know, what kind of shoes do I need? And I said, you might need a sweater. You know, my in-laws are from England. So I said, really, the weather concerns here, not so much. Oi, Lynn is in Arizona and she said it's 95 here, dropped from 105. Yeah, right. If this is fall, I don't like it. I want real fall. I desperately want real fall. One of my best friends just moved to Connecticut. Her husband is going to start working at Wesleyan. And I am beyond jealous of all of her posts right now because they just got there a couple of weeks ago and already they're going apple picking, you know, and they're outside. It's gorgeous. Yeah. It's gorgeous. It's the only thing I think truly one of the only downsides of being here is that we don't have 4 seasons, which is sad.
Yeah. And not being in New England is always a shame.
Well, yes. Evanier says fall in Southern California is when we take in the green plastic plants and put out the brown plastic plants. Not wrong, my friend.
Yeah.
Not wrong.
Yeah. Well put.
Thank you, Christy. Again, it's the sweat. Christy says I'm glowing. It's because it's 7 bajillion degrees. It's too hot. It's just too hot. All right, it looks like we're functioning on all the platforms, which is always exciting.
That is news.
It is exciting for me when
unlike
stuff
Dog
works.
Bites Man, that's news.
Yeah, I'll take it. Hang on, I want to make sure I'm getting through these. When was the last time you cried at the movies?
Oh, I'm a soft touch. I cry at supermarket openings.
Yeah, we're easy.
You know, pretty easy. And I find as I get older, I get more sentimental. So unlikely things may set me off. But I can't remember.
Telluride, there was something that.
Yeah.
My mom wept after Belfast, the new Kenneth Branagh movie, and I mean full blown wept. I didn't. I'm trying to think. There was something recently that got you really emotional. I can't remember what it was. Well, there's whatever that short was that you just watched. The Parkinsons and all that kind of.
Oh well, that didn't make me weep.
That was just upsetting.
Upsetting.
It was just upsetting to watch.
I talked to someone yesterday, a friend on the phone, and she said, "Where are you?" I said, "I'm here." They said, "Weren't you just in Akron, Ohio?"
Yeah.
I said, well, yeah, but that was the night before.
That was then. Well, yes, we'll get into, you've had a very busy week. Ronald was saying that a skeleton dance for the win. Yes, he's wearing his skeleton dance shirt, which we love so much.
Yes.
Camden says, I'm hosting a panel on the Fleischer Studios next Sunday. What do you think is the best Inkwell short to show? I was thinking Coco's Earth Control.
That's a popular one, and for good reason. So you can't go wrong. Really, you can't go wrong with almost any of those silent Inkwell shorts. TCM just showed a bunch of restored Inkwell shorts last evening. They're all so good. Sparring Partner, Trip to Mars. They all have their charms. They all have those moments. They're ingenious. They're really ingenious. And if you've never seen Out of the Inkwell with Coco the Clown, look them up.
Very entertaining, and one of our favorite characters, I would say.
Oh, I like Coco a lot.
When our friend at Rockin' Pins started doing Coco merch, the family as a whole was very excited.
Yeah.
Have you been watching Ben Modell's live streams? We've seen some of them. Ben is great, and he works so hard. If you folks don't know, Ben Modell is one of the premier silent film accompanists, and he travels all over. But also puts together really cool.
He's sort of a one-person,
one-man show,
video company, releasing DVDs of rare material. A lot of it from the Library of Congress.
Yeah,
from their archives.
And he does a weekly stream.
I think just before us.
Yeah, something like. I have no sense of time anymore. I mean, I never had a great one, but now it's just out the window. But yeah, Ben does a live stream, and it's wonderful. You can follow him, Ben Modell, Model, on the various social places, and find that. If you're into silent film, if you're into that kind of history, he's great, and he loves what he does. Thoughts on TCM's future release of rare pre-code movies on home video? And do you think more pre-code movies will be released in the future by TCM?
Well, I don't have any idea about the second part of your question. And I didn't know about the first part of your question. So if it's true, I'm delighted.
Yeah.
I'm delighted. I still believe in physical media. There's a rumor about that all of the majors are going to cut off any kind of physical release from this year onward. And I understand why it makes sense to the bean counters.
Yeah, but it's not.
But it's not a good idea.
My mom recently canceled. My mom has gotten the LA Times my entire life, and
physically delivered.
The newspaper, and one of the sort of
the newspaper.
One of our routines every morning going to school, my mom takes me to school, I would get up and the paper would be somewhere, they'd flung it somewhere under the car. And it was my job at 7:30 in the morning to find it and put it in the car for her. And my dad, especially on the weekends, one of the things that was sort of his way of showing my mom he cared was he would go find her paper on the weekends, which again, they inevitably flung under a car, in a bush somewhere.
Or in some form of puddle.
Oh, always. It finds the water.
Yeah.
Where there is water, the paper flingers will find and bring that in for her.
Yeah.
But recently there have been issues with it. The paper was wet, like just all sorts of things went wrong. And she finally said, you know what, I'm done.
And then she took a look at how much she was paying.
Oh, they were charging an obscene amount. So she canceled it. But the truth is,
she really misses it.
She misses it. So I just ordered it again. So she'll start getting it next week. But
like a good dog.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
See a problem and fix it.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things is that, we all have our routines and things we love doing. I loved on the weekends going through the calendar section with you two. We'd sit on my parents' bed and get out the calendar section.
Which is the entertainment section of the Los Angeles Times.
Yes. And it would list all the movies that were playing. So if we wanted to go see something, we'd look through the calendar section.
And of course, there would be big splashy ads for the brand new movies just opening that week.
We'd see if my dad was quoted for any movies or if anybody else that we knew was quoted, which was always exciting. But it was a huge part of, I don't want you to lean so much on that because I don't want you to hurt.
Oh,
his arm has been, the surgery arm has been hurting. And I'm just trying to make sure he's not, I don't want you to just lean this way.
Okay.
And put all your weight on.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you, darling.
Sorry. Worried about his.
Oh, by the way, for purposes of identification.
Oh, sure.
Just so we keep everything straight.
I'm Leonard. This is Jesse. I'm the father. This is the daughter, or something like that.
Yeah. Or more accurately, I am Leonard.
You're
Maltin,
Leonard.
And this is Jesse.
I'm Jesse.
My daughter.
That's correct. CJ says she did the same thing with the paper. Yeah, I mean, I did. I love the calendar section. I loved opening it up. And as I say, you know, you're looking at the different movies, what's playing, what am I going to go see? And I do miss that. And, you know, you can get the LA Times, the digital version every day, but it's no fun. You know, it's just not the same thing. In the same way that a lot of our friends feel the way I do, which is I understand why Kindle is so great. And especially for someone like you who reads so fast. You know, when we would go on trips, all of us as a family, you know, you'd pack 3 books.
Because I didn't want to spend any time with my family.
No, obviously not. But you know, like you would read them, you'd go through them quickly. So I understand that for that purpose, especially some of the books you read that are particularly massive, Kindle's great. But I would still then buy the book because I still want to own and have the book.
Right. So in the same way, or in a similar way, having physical media, having DVDs, having Blu-rays, having laser discs, I confess to still having some drawers filled with VHS tapes.
I still have some of my VHS.
And
why not?
You know, why not? Indeed, you know, and if you
can pry them from my cold dead hands, I will hold on to my VHS. I don't have too many commercial VHS tapes. No.
I have stuff that either friends taped for me off the air or examples of interviews I gave on talk shows.
I just found my bat mitzvah video.
Ah!
I'm cleaning up the room that will be the baby's room. Has sort of become, well, before she existed, obviously, has been sort of the catch-all. And so everything just ends up in that room. And we've been
including your bar mitzvah video.
Including my bat mitzvah video. Yes. So I just found that, and I'm not going to burn it as much as I'd like to. I realize that would maybe not be I probably will burn it at some point, but no one should have videos of themselves at 13. It's just bad.
Yeah.
You know, nothing about it is good.
That doesn't lead to happiness.
It does not. Ken is saying reflections on the death of Tommy Kirk.
My good friend Howard Green, who was vice president of communications at Walt Disney Company and has been there for these many years. One of the things he does is he releases an official studio press release when someone passes from the Disney family. And Tommy Kirk was certainly a vital part of that Disney family in the 50s and 60s. First, I grew up with him. So what are my feelings? First, I'm feeling sad.
Sad, yeah.
You know, he and I are about the same age. And I enjoyed him so much in The Hardy Boys with Tim Considine and in The Shaggy Dog and in Old Yeller and in so many other films that he did. And he apparently didn't have a happy adulthood.
Part of it, as we now know, is that he was gay. And when he came out, he was treated pretty horribly. And a lot of his career was taken away from him because that's not what they wanted. It's so interesting to me how things can shift and change, sometimes for the worse, sometimes for the better. And it was... A friend of mine works with a famous musician who came out. This is years ago now. And when he came out, same thing happened. His record company dropped him. They wanted nothing to do with him. They didn't know how to sell him anymore. And they would force him to use women in his music videos, and to sort of an attempt to sort of say, see, but it's fine. We'll just pretend you're not gay. And my friend is helping him now with new music, and they're going to be doing a new music video. And in this music video, his love interest is a man. For the first time in his 20-something years, he's going to get to have a male co-star.
Yeah.
And it is incredible to me how things, as I say, can shift and change. So you have something where there was a time, we were just talking about Rock Hudson the other day too. There's, and there's so many stories, as I'm sure you guys know, of, different actors, musicians, what have you, who couldn't be themselves. And it's really heartbreaking because no one should feel that way.
And in England, of course, they could and did wind up in prison.
Oh yeah, till the 80s, by the way.
Yeah.
This is not like a far away, far off thing. You could still go to jail in the 80s.
Anyway, back to Tommy Kirk.
But I bring it up because you have this person who most people, even if they don't know his name, would recognize his face. That's how Scott, my husband, when I said, "Oh, honey, Tommy Kirk died," and he said, "I don't know who that is," and I just pulled up quickly, the old Yeller poster, and he went, "Oh, okay." Because even if you don't necessarily know the name, his face is one that was a part of your life.
And one of the reasons that film is so effective, and there are many, is it's not just the grief that we feel about this is no spoiler, the death of this beloved dog, but the grief that he expresses, that his character expresses, and that he is forced into a untenable position, and it's going to sort of be a rite of passage for him, and he expresses so beautifully, not in a corny way, not in an overstated way, very believable, very grounded. And when I interviewed him and Tim Considine together for the Hardy Boys DVD in the Walt Disney Treasure series, I was trying to compliment. I didn't want to embarrass him, but I was trying to compliment him on how good he was. And Tim Considine, who's known him since they were both kids, said he was scary good. He was so good, and that's the truth. He was, I think, somewhat taken for granted.
Yeah.
I mean, and in that film, he's got to put on a Southern accent.
There's all kinds of pieces. No, he was very talented, and that's why I am so sad that he had such a hard time.
Yeah.
And that his career ended in a lot of ways because of who he was. As I say, it breaks your heart. It really, really does break your heart. But he is in the memory of a lot of people.
Yep.
And that is more than most. So,
and we can celebrate him.
Yeah.
By continuing to watch, the good films that he was in.
Yeah.
He's in Swiss Family Robinson.
Oh yeah,
he's in a lot of Disney films.
He's in a lot of excellent. He's always good. He was always good.
Yep.
He was a talented young man, and as I say, I wish we could have seen more from him later, in his life. But it is what it is, and it is sad. It's sad to lose him, and he wasn't that old.
Yesterday, a new movie department. Yesterday, your mother and I decided to watch.
You are out of control, young man.
The Many Saints of Newark.
Right.
Which is the new movie based on. It's a prequel to The Sopranos.
Yes.
One of the great TV series of our time, and it was written or co-written by its creator, David Chase, and directed by Alan Taylor, who directed key episodes of that series during the many years it was on the air. And it's not that good.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's interesting for the most part, but not that compelling, not that good. And I was trying to remember the name of the other the first feature that David Chase got to write after the TV series expired, and it's called Not Fade Away, and that I had to look it up because it's such a terrible title.
It is, but it's a good movie.
it's an interesting movie that doesn't quite work. But James Gandolfini plays his father in that film.
Yeah,
and that's interesting. The dynamic between him and his father and it's all autobiographical. It's all mostly autobiographical. He really did grow up in New Jersey. He really had a difficult relationship, to put it mildly, with his mother, and a tough one with a different kind, but a tough one with his father. And he was surrounded by crime, petty crime and major crime, and music. And Not Fade Away is particularly follows his dream of being a musician. I mean, he's in a garage band, as they call them now.
Now?
They
call them now? They call them that for years.
I didn't call them that.
I don't even think garage bands exist anymore. Kids are so high tech.
Yeah.
But
well, when I was growing up, that term was not in use.
Sure. I believe you. Okay. I believe you very much. Yes, yes.
Anyway,
you didn't like it.
No.
So there's that one. My mom and I have been talking a lot about the new. I don't know how many of you are watching American Crime Story this particular season, which is all about Monica Lewinsky and Bill Clinton and that whole catastrophe. And I'll tell you the main issue I have with this year, with this particular series this year, it's really boring. And I asked a few friends the other day, are you having it's so dull. And no, apparently I am not alone in feeling that way. So many good actors. It's not anything to do with them. It's just boring as hell. And who knew Clive Owen would be a good Bill Clinton? But he is. I mean, he's Clive Owen. He's a great actor. But yeah, that's the one that this week is sort of going, yeah. And then I tried watching Midnight Mass. Have you read about that at all yet? No. That's one of the new Netflix shows. And it's from the guy, let me get the name right. It's the guy who has just done a bunch of these Hush and, 1 second, let me get it right. Mike Flanagan. So Mike Flanagan did The Haunting of Hill House and Dr. Sleep and Gerald's Game, all of these different movies that sort of went together, The Haunting of Bly Manor, and he uses a number of the same cast members for it. And by episode 1, you had animal violence. Episode 2, you had 2 counts of animal violence. And I was talking to my friend as I was watching it, and I was going, okay, I'm just gonna, it's on my TV so I can look away. I'm just gonna, if it doesn't, it's fine. Then another one happened. And then I'm sitting and I'm going, this is really depressing. And I turned it off. And I gotta say, great choice on my part. I realized I was sitting there and I was like, this is miserable.
Yeah.
Which is not to say it's bad.
Yeah.
It's just miserable. And it's not what I need right now.
There's a certain degree of masochism in my lifelong credo of sticking it out.
Yeah, which normally I do. Same thing, I started Maid. Not The Maid apparently, but Maid, which is the new one with Margaret Qualley and Andy McDowell.
Who I forgot that it's Andy McDowell's daughter.
Yeah. And again, it's just really depressing. And it's not like the acting is bad. It's nothing like that. It's just like, this is another depressing one. No, I turned it off. Well, Ronald's saying, have you watched any of the new season of What We Do in the Shadows? Religiously. One of my dear friends who I've known forever is Harvey Guillen, who plays their familiar on the show. And he's wonderful. He plays Guillermo on the show. And so, yes, I watch that show religiously. I love the movie. Brilliant.
And we watched the new episode of Ted Lasso.
Which my husband's out of town for work, and I'm not allowed to watch it without him. And he's gone.
That's very, very loyal. A very loyal gesture.
I can't lie. I definitely cheated before, where there was something where he's like, well, just don't watch it without me. Okay. Oh, no. And I just don't tell him. Marriage. But we said at the beginning, you had a very busy week this week.
Yes.
to begin with, see, the reason that's happening, again, I have to stay on him because he's in the middle of physical therapy, is because you're putting all your weight on one side. And we don't want you to hurt that side of your body.
Okay.
Okay. So try to shift your weight so you're even.
All right.
This is how we spend our days, with me yelling at him about his physical therapy. So the first big thing is you and mommy got to go to one of the like 7 grand openings that they've had of the Academy Museum.
The Academy Museum of Motion Pictures. That's the official title. The Academy Museum of Motion Pictures, which
no one's ever going to call it that. We're all just going to call it the Academy Museum.
Right.
Because why would you not?
Yeah, and it's at the corner of Wilshire Boulevard and Fairfax Avenue.
Yep.
Here in Los
Along
Angeles.
The Miracle Mile.
Yeah. The mysteriously
titled. Well, you know why it's called that.
No.
The Olympics.
No, I didn't know.
Yeah, that's why it's called. You know all this stuff. It's because of the Olympics. It's where one of, I guess it went into. You went from there into wherever they built one of the stadiums, and but it's where a lot of the athletes had to run. And
oh my,
yeah, that's what it's from.
Well, a day without learning.
I just taught you something.
It's like a day without sunshine.
Very exciting.
Okay.
So you and mommy got to go to the Academy Museum, which is what we're calling it.
Yes, and when we got there, we started seeing people we knew. And got so distracted
that they forgot to go to the museum.
We forgot to take in the museum. And the museum itself, the structure of the interior, is such that there's nothing on display in the stairwells, in the hallways, in the corridors. It's all in individual rooms that are set off from the main thoroughfare, upstairs, downstairs, escalators, and all that. And we had a lovely evening.
Yeah, seeing all your friends.
Running into people we haven't seen.
Yeah.
Of course, there's some people we haven't seen since the pandemic.
Right.
Some people we haven't seen even before that. So we had a very nice time.
Yep.
But we didn't really see the museum.
You didn't see any of the museum. No. Thankfully, a lot of your friends have been taking pictures. So I've been able to see what they were doing.
Right. So we want to schedule very soon.
Yeah.
A
tour,
a catch-up tour.
There's a woman named Dawn Hudson, and is she the president?
She's the CEO.
There you go, the CEO,
Chief Executive Officer.
And where Dawn is most different from us is she's really into minimalism. If my parents had 5 minutes with all that empty space, let me tell you, what 1 sheets up the wazoo.
No.
It would
space like that. 3 sheets, 6 sheets, 24 sheets.
Huge. So when friends who have been telling me about, there's a lot of empty space. It's like, because Dawn's really into minimalism. Unlike everyone we know who would be going, what do you mean you have this giant wall and nothing on it? For shame, madam. But we'll see. It just opened, so we'll see sort of what they do,
right,
and what they incorporate,
and how the public responds.
Yeah,
because there's been a lot of internecine debating, and I wouldn't call it warfare.
Yeah,
it's not that serious. It's just a lot of debating about why didn't they do this? Why did they do this?
Yeah,
why are they focusing on that, not focusing on this?
Yeah,
and that was bound to happen. So you can't please everybody. And so now it's up to the cash customers,
the people,
the tourists,
to see what they want,
and the locals.
Yeah.
And to see whether that gives them the experience they hope it does, whether they feel it's promising something that doesn't deliver, or delivering something. Whoa, sorry, honey. Or delivering something more than they expected. So there's all sorts of.
So we'll see. We'll see what comes of it. But
so we're going to table that discussion because we really.
But you got to go.
Yeah, we got to go.
You got to go, and that was cool. Just real quick, to answer this question: any chance you'll do some more TCM Disney nights? The reason he doesn't and can't is because since Disney started Disney Plus, they are no longer licensing out any of those cartoons, films, what have you. So it's nothing to do with TCM and nothing to do with my dad. Unfortunately, it's a Disney thing. So unless for some reason they decide to do something and share again, which I doubt they will, but you never know.
Yeah.
Something could happen. So that's why there aren't anymore. And then a segue here. How did you celebrate the first National Silent Movie Day? That falls under the heading of he was on a plane, which is the other part of where he's been this week.
I tweeted
yes
about it because I was so bummed to miss out on not only participating in National Silent Movie Day, but in the naming of the Chaplin Keaton Lloyd Alley in Hollywood, where the brilliant investigative powers of John Bengtson came to realize all three of these giants of silent comedy used the same street or different parts of the same alley.
Mm-hmm.
Chaplin used it in The Kid with Jackie Coogan, and Harold Lloyd used it in Safety Last, one of his best known comedies. And Buster used it more than once. Mm-hmm. Buster shot a lot around Cahuenga Boulevard, but the alley is what he runs through in the great two-reel comedy Cops, when he's being chased by this mob of cops and gets through the alley just as a taxi cab passes by that happens to have a grab bar in the back and whisks him out of the frame.
How are we going to get your foot to not hit that?
All right, well.
Sorry.
Anyway, that alley has great fascination for me and a lot of other people. And now it's official.
Yep.
The city has made it official.
Yep, which is very exciting.
Yeah.
So
anyway, that's why I wasn't, active in participating more fully.
Yeah.
In National Silent Movie Day. I just tried to spread the word a little bit.
But I would say that every day is National Silent Movie Day here.
Yep.
We celebrate those people on a regular basis because we love them.
Yep.
Disney Plus needs a Leonard Maltin series. I agree with you, Lynn. I really, really do. And I hope that one day they will do something because it's absolutely where he belongs. TCM showed the recent documentary you just narrated. Yes, they showed the Méliès doc.
Yes, they reran the Méliès documentary done by my friend
Serge
Bromberg and his partner Eric Lange. And I like it. And I can say that because I had nothing to do with putting it together.
No, he just
I did read the English language. I did translate.
It's French. They're French. It's French.
C'est vrai.
And Serge asked my dad to do the English version when they aired it here, which was really cool. Why do you think Buster Keaton's comedy didn't work for talking pictures?
Oh, because he wasn't given the opportunity to do his comedy. They tried to shoehorn him into formulaic comedies like a stage play, like the French farce Parlor, Bedroom, and Bath. And they didn't leave him alone. That's the main thing. If they had just left him alone with his team of collaborators who had done such great work throughout the 1920s, he would have come up with more good ideas and that showcased him more fully and more to his advantage. And that's the big problem.
Mm-hmm. It is also tricky because, of course, when you're creating a silent character, there is no voice. There's nothing. I know it sounds silly. It's almost like when you read a book and you create the character in your head. Well, in the same way that when people first heard Charlie Chaplin's voice and first went, he's English.
Yeah.
But also just, what does he sound like in your mind?
Yeah.
You're kind of creating that. You're creating what they sound like, who they are. And I think it can be tough to live up to whatever your expectations may be.
That process is very well explained and explored in the new documentary called The Real Charlie Chaplin, which I hosted a screening of, two screenings at Telluride, the Telluride Film Festival, and which is going to air on Showtime.
Yeah.
So it has an American home. Eventually, you'll get to see it here. And it's a very good, very thorough documentary about his life and career. And
it's done by these two young guys, these British filmmakers. They're wonderful, and they love this.
And Kevin Brownlow was very supportive of them.
Yeah.
And so
was the family.
They build on his work.
The family,
and the family all participated. I think we hear from 4 or 5 of Charlie's children. And the only one we don't hear is his wife Una, because as one of their daughters, I think Geraldine, the oldest daughter, explains, she, though she was photographed a lot with Charlie, never spoke on the record. And she says that Geraldine says that she did a lot of writing, and then toward the end of her life, burned most of those pages. Goodness knows, what she denied us.
Yeah.
Of her thoughts and memories.
So interesting.
Yeah.
Hi from Australia. Hello.
Hello.
I'm late. We just switched to daylight savings time here. Ah, yes. Well, Australia is a pretty magical place to be. And I'm jealous, very jealous of you at the moment. And we've had a lot of fun in Australia and New Zealand. And in New Zealand, by the by, if you're someone who enjoys atmospheric theaters, which we love, there is a fantastic one
called the Civic
in Auckland.
And it is majestic in every way. And it's been lovingly restored. And we got a wonderful tour by the fellow who supervised the restoration from the rafters, above the ceiling, all the way down to the lower level.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's gorgeous.
Wow. It's gorgeous.
Gary's saying the Music Box Theater in Chicago still has a working organ that comes up from the floor. We know. My dad has done several events there. It's a beautiful it's a gem. It really is a gem of a theater. Hi from an American in London. I used to buy your book every year. You're the best and I love your daughter's hair. Thank you, Michael. What do you think about his hair? He's got very nice hair. That's very kind. And thank you for buying the book. We always appreciate that. And as we always say too, we miss it. Everybody says they miss it. We miss it too.
And I met some very nice folks. To go back to the subject of Akron.
Yes.
I was brought there by the Akron Public Library, which is a very imposing and beautiful building, a part of a little museum enclave. And I wish I had this building within walking distance of where we live.
Yeah.
I'd be there quite a lot. And they participated in something, or maybe they created something called the Real Abilities Film Festival, talking about different aspects of living life with disabilities, handicaps, some people would call them. Other people take offense at that word now because it implies, that somebody's holding you back from doing something. And so putting out a more positive spin, saying the ability. I was taught this years ago at Entertainment Tonight by one of our writers who had been shamed by using the term confined to a wheelchair.
Right.
And what these groups encourage people to say is wheelchair user.
Right.
Wheelchair user sort of sums it all up. You don't have to say more than that. And so you learn as you do things. Sometimes you learn by stepping on toes or making mistakes. But if you learn from the experience, then it can be a positive. In any case, I was there not just to talk about myself and my career and such, but to talk about living with Parkinson's, which I've done now for 7 years. And I know how lucky I am that I was diagnosed early.
Very.
And your mother truly believes that I had Parkinson's before I was diagnosed.
Oh, obviously
Yeah.
you did. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look, it took a year to diagnose you.
Yeah.
We noticed that something was happening and it took a year. And we're so lucky that it was still early enough. And also, frankly, we live a rather boring life. No, I mean, in the sense of, my dad and I joke that we're very lucky that when we do have various health problems pop up, we don't have to quit anything. Neither of us drink coffee or caffeine, really. We don't use a lot of salt. Like I know it sounds silly, but there's all these little things. Like even for me getting pregnant, and they said no sushi. I go, I don't eat sushi. All the stuff they said, you can't have this, and this. And we went, yeah, I don't do that. Well, for my dad, his vice is watching movies and chocolate. Like, these are the two things.
I don't watch chocolate. I watch movies and then
while eating the chocolate.
Yeah.
Yes. But it meant that you didn't have to change your life drastically.
No.
But it is something where, especially because you had been so healthy up to then.
Yeah.
My mom and I have always been sick. We've always had issues. Again, many of you know by now, I have all of the autoimmune diseases. I always joke I collect them. So I've spent a lot of time in hospitals and a lot of time with doctors and going all over the place trying to figure things out. My mom has a bunch of health problems too. But my dad was always the one who was the healthy one. So for all of a sudden, it to go from it to be that to then different parts are not working the way you want them to. Your feet don't listen necessarily. It's very hard.
It's an adjustment, and it's an ongoing adjustment.
Yeah.
And but I'm lucky.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting here talking to you guys, and
Well, as we know, having a purpose is huge.
Yes.
And for anyone with, whether you call it a disability or whatever the hell you want to refer to it as, when you have a purpose, it helps you push through. So even again, for me, when I was in my early 20s and they were really trying to diagnose and figure things out, when I didn't have a purpose, when I couldn't work and all of that, that's when I was depressed and had a very hard time because I was going, well, what is my life? What am I doing with my life? And then for my dad, thankfully, because he has writing and different things, it's the same kind of you still you have things to do, going to the movies, getting yourself out of the house.
And we create a lot of those opportunities. Mm-hmm. I mean, no one has got a gun to my head to produce a website.
Yeah.
Or for us to do our weekly podcast. Mm-hmm. We love doing that. I enjoy having a place to where I can write anything I feel like writing. Nobody looking over my shoulder. Mm-hmm. So sometimes you have to create your own opportunities. And in this case, that's what I've done.
So yeah. And my dad has done a number of lectures like that.
Yeah.
And I think it's great.
And we met a lot of nice people.
Mm-hmm. Including some of the folks who join us here.
Some of you folks.
My dad got to see Henrik, and a fellow named Chris earlier said he was there. Let me go through some of your questions here. 1 second. Well, Henrik is saying, well, he's a great honor to meet you and your lovely wife, sir. Just watched a double feature of the Universal Dracula and Frankenstein at the theater through Fathom Events. Damn, do they still hold up, and I learn something new every time. What is your favorite classic Universal monster film, and what do you think is an underrated or underappreciated classic Universal horror film?
Well, I think my favorite is still Dracula. And Bela Lugosi just has burrowed his way into my consciousness and my heart, I might add.
Yeah.
I just love, I love that performance. I love what he does with that character, making him so real, not a grotesque, mm-hmm. and not an abstract, but a real, if not person, then a real figure, living figure.
Yeah.
Oh no, not living figure. Anyway, Dracula. As to underrated, people kind of celebrate them all, but I always thought The Wolfman was great because it incorporated so many characters and so many wonderful actors. And then, of course, there's Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, mm-hmm. which doesn't often get on that list of the pillars of Gothic horror, but it ought to, because Bud and Lou are very funny in it, but the monsters are not trying to be funny, and they don't do anything particularly comic. Mm-hmm. They play the horror straight, and they play the comedy for laughs. And it's that brilliant combination that makes the film so good.
Makes them work. What is the worst sequel you've ever seen? Oh, God.
Ooh.
There's so many.
Wow.
So many terrible sequels. I don't know. I think it's easier to think of the good ones, to be honest with you.
There are so few.
The second Addams Family is great.
Yeah.
Like the fact that they were able to make 2 of those movies and they were still fantastic.
I did the junket. I did the press junket for City Slickers 2, The Legend of Curly's Gold. That was its subtitle, I think, and with Billy Crystal and some of the other people involved. And that's why that film refers so much to The Godfather Part 2 as sort of their homage. They're admitting that they are in a hopeless situation.
Making a terrible choice by doing a sequel.
And then there's Toy Story 2, where they actually make fun of the fact that toy makers weren't prepared for the first film's success and weren't ready.
So funny. Yes, Zoolander 2, of course. Yes, he walked out of Zoolander 2. We've talked about that before. Very, very funny. But yeah, there's a lot of terrible sequels. I don't know that you could really narrow it down. What's your favorite Sean Connery on a train movie?
I'll say From Russia with Love.
There you go. That'll work. What do you think of the transfer on the recent Warner Archive Blu-ray of Night at the Opera?
The most recent one I've seen is great. Everybody keeps hoping they're going to find the so-called missing footage. The film was slightly cut for overseas release, European, and I think maybe been tampered with for the 1948 reissue. I don't know that we'll ever see a complete, perfect print of that film as it was seen in 1935. And the cut is so obvious at the beginning. There's a jump cut right at the beginning of the movie. And as we're meeting Groucho for the first time, and as he's about to meet Miss Claypool, played by Margaret Dumont. So we can dream, can't we?
Yeah. What is your favorite movie set in New York? Mine is Woman's World. Well, okay, so this is funny because my parents are both from New York. One of the jokes always are all the things that would never happen. So small stuff like knowing that this street's a one way and they're going the other way, or that people can always find a parking space. That's a big one for all New York. They go, no, you can never find a parking space. You don't just pull in. What's wrong with you? But I don't know. What's one of your favorite New York?
Well, On the Town.
Well, yeah.
Even though most of the location shooting is at the beginning of the movie when they're performing that number, that wonderful number by Adolph Green, Betty Comden, and Leonard Bernstein. That's a magical chunk of film, and it was all the more magical at the time they made it because Hollywood movies did not shoot on location by and large. That's why they had those incredible backlots, that could serve as permanent street sets, and that's why they used rear projection and techniques like that. But until the war, and a lot of things changed right after World War II, and one of them was more reality and going out on location shoots. And when they shot Frank Sinatra and Gene Kelly and Jules Munchin for On the Town, they didn't have very much crowd control. They tried to steal some of those shots. And
can you imagine trying to do anything with Frank Sinatra?
Like really? At that moment.
Can you imagine? Yeah. In nutty. Robert saying Miracle on 34th Street. Yes, well, yes. Of course. No, there are a lot of, obviously Woody Allen made great use of New York. There are a number of filmmakers who treated it like a character. You'll hear that a lot. People say New York is a character in the film. Yes. And I think that that's very fitting. Christy's saying, will the Maltins be making a Florida trip to the 50th anniversary sometime this year? Disney World. It's Disney World's 50th. I'll be honest with you. We're Disneyland people, really, only because of its history and what it means to us.
And because we live here. It's not incidental that we're so far from Walt Disney World and so close to Disneyland.
Yeah. But also just Disney World is gigantic. Yeah. Disney World is so huge. We all have not been since I was 15. That's the last time that we were there because that's when we did the Disney cruise. My dad was a guest on the Disney cruise, and so we ended up spending some time at Disney World. But I mean, maybe Probably not this year or into next. I doubt it, but maybe something would have to take us there, I would say. So if Becky Klein or somebody from the archive decides they want him to go, maybe, but probably not. Though I am loving watching all these videos of people buying all the merch and nearly killing each other to get to some freaking tumblers. The videos are insane. People buying this stuff. Bless them. They're bonkers. Appreciate this chat, father and daughter. You know what's funny is we actually don't speak. We only talk to each other on Sundays. That's how we make this work. That would be funny. It's not true. That would be funny. This is what's your favorite or top favorite bio or autobiography books in the realm of animators that you would recommend?
Oh, well, I have a weakness for Jack Kinney's book, Walt Disney and Other Characters, because I helped get it published. And the reason I did that is that Jack, who directed all the great goofy sports cartoons in the 40s and had a lot to do with Dumbo, was one of the segment directors, I think. He did this manuscript and then illustrated it with like rough pen and ink sketches of his memory of working in the bullpen, of being an in-betweener, working his way up, being in the sweat box, as they called it, with Walt, watching scenes. And so it's not just his memories, but his visual memories. And I think it's a really special book. And I doubt that it's in print, but you could probably find a used copy out and about.
Any others?
Well, the biography of Ward Kimball, whose author I keep blanking on his name. I apologize right now. Look it up.
What am I looking up?
Look up Ward Kimball book.
Okay.
Because it took me the better part of a year to get around to reading it after it came out, and I was so impressed because I feel that
The Life and Times of Ward Kimball.
Yep.
Okay. Hold on, internet. It's going. It is by Todd James Pierce.
Yep. By Todd James Pierce.
There you go. Todd James Pierce. That's a great. It's a great cover of Ward. Ward had such a fantastically expressive face. Even when he was older, he looked like a cartoon. He really did, and I loved him. And love you too, Dana.
Should I just go on?
Yeah.
No comment.
No, it's Dana Minkin. It's my. One of the most amazing ladies I know, and let me tell you, part of that is that her husband was a firefighter for how many years, and she is a nurse, and she's been on the front lines of all of this chaos. God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. Continue.
Todd not only did his homework and not only had access to Ward's voluminous journal entries, but he understands the world in which he functioned at the studio, and how tough it was to be an individual. And Ward was very much an individual, and he was not a square peg trying to fit in a round hole. He was a square peg trying to fit in a round hole that kept changing shape.
Yeah.
And yet he won Walt's support early on and never really lost it. And that was his ace in the hole.
Again, it's fascinating to hear firsthand stories from all of these people that were around when animation was becoming a thing, when it was getting on its feet. And then, of course, the idea of animated feature films, because you have to remember that there was a time when it was just cartoons are for kids. That's all they are.
Yep.
They didn't get respect. They're for kids. And now I think people really understand just how, first of all, how labor intensive they are, but also how many stories you can tell, that it is a medium in and of itself.
Well, people make the mistake. I was discussing this with someone the other day. People make the mistake of referring to animation as if it's a genre, like horror, Western, science fiction. It's not a genre. It's a medium. And in that medium, you can tell adult stories, children's stories, conventional stories in the conventional storybook style of art, or a revolutionary style of art. And it embraces so many possibilities. And the future is unlimited. And the potential for animation is unlimited.
And it's as I say, it's lovely to sort of see it do that.
Yeah.
And see that people can understand that it's not just, this is a for children thing. No. Evan is saying that he's been watching us for a few weeks and we haven't talked about Scenes from a Marriage on HBO. I have recorded the first episode, but haven't watched any of it yet. I think Mommy watched some of it, but I don't think you have.
Well, I'm not sure I get it. In the sense that having seen Ingmar Bergman's original Scenes from a Marriage, which is a emotionally wrenching experience, I wasn't sure I wanted to put myself through that kind of experience again, though I greatly admire and like Jessica Chastain and Oscar Isaac. So if you're going to do this kind of thing, casting those people is a very good way to start. But I have an approach avoidance problem to
that. Nick, just so you know, Nick is talking a bit about Amita Midi and Jerry Beck. The version that you have is not correct. We don't really have time to go into all of it, but it's a lot more than that. Did you like Stillwater? I didn't get to see. Did you?
No, I wanted to see it.
So that was one, because now more and more they are they're not doing links as much. They actually would like you to go back to a theater and go to screenings. And my dad having just been through shoulder surgery and all this stuff, we haven't gone to the movies that much. So no, unfortunately we didn't see that, but I'm sure when we do get DVDs, we'll watch, because I really want to see
that's it. One I'm very anxious to catch up with.
Yeah, I would really, really like to see it. The story of Macbeth looks interesting. Yeah, that too. There's a lot of stuff that's coming, and we'll see, how it all holds up. What's the name of your new book about your Entertainment Tonight days?
Well,
and where can it be purchased? Hang on. You've spoken a lot about nonfiction books that have caught your fancy. Are there any fiction books that have done the same? Well, part one, quickly. One of his old friends has been writing a series for years now. Al Collins, Max Allan Collins, and you really enjoy a number of his books.
Yes. It's tough to pick just one of Al's books. He wrote a series about a detective named Nathan Heller, who lived and worked for about 35 years in the 20th century. So he covers stories from the late 20s through the late 50s. And he inserts his fictional detective into real life crime, rather famous real life crime stories, and they're wonderful. They're wonderful, and he manages to make it seamless. It doesn't ever seem contrived somehow that Nate Heller is talking to genuinely famous, even notorious figures.
Yeah.
And he's an author I never tire of reading, and I'm reading a current book by Michael Connelly, the best-selling author, the justifiably best-selling author, who created Bosch.
And we actually had him on the show several years ago. We had him on our podcast.
You could look it up. You could listen to it for free. And Connelly's a great writer, and I did something I rarely do. I bought an airport book.
Yes.
I was unprepared, not fully prepared for this trip. And I said, I'll buy the new Michael Connelly. And it's not from the Bosch series. It's from another series.
Yeah. My mom is also an avid reader, but she tends to do books on tape because, like me, we are both ridiculously dyslexic. So it takes us a long time to read books, but my mom is really, she loves reading. It just takes her a long time. And then she listens to a lot of books on tape. What is she reading right now that she's enjoying so much? I can't remember.
Can't remember either.
It's the one that was made into the movie. Do you know what I'm talking about?
If I knew.
Yeah. It's lit. It's just, oh, shoot. I can't remember. I'll find out. Leonard, why are you on the cover of Harlan Ellison's Watching Lol? I try to rephrase that so it makes sense, and I will answer.
It's an anthology of Harlan's writing about movies, and he did me the favor of quoting me on the cover, and that's a very high honor.
Yeah, and he was a very, very, very dear friend.
And Harlan is one of the people I write about in my new book.
This book.
Starstruck.
My Unlikely Road to Hollywood.
My Unlikely Road to Hollywood.
You've got to learn the second part.
Okay.
It's the same with the other book. His last book, Hooked on Hollywood, also had another thing. Could never remember the rest of the title.
The whole shocking story.
Yeah, I said, you got to learn the rest of it, man. So it's Starstruck.
My Unlikely Road to Hollywood.
That's the one. We just got the hardcovers the other day.
Oh yeah,
which was really exciting.
We've had an advanced paperback copy of it.
But
for
seeing
a while.
the hardcover is really, really cool.
It's a book. See it? It has weight.
It's a book. Bam.
I had an interview. I'll never forget this. I was being interviewed on an evening show in Cleveland. No. And it was to promote the current movie guide. And the host dropped the movie guide on his desk.
Thud.
Yeah, to create the thud that would give people the message of how thick a book it was.
Quite thick. I will say my other favorite story of yours, though, with that is that someone was interviewing you, and she was doodling on the cover of his book as she was speaking to him.
With a ballpoint pen.
And I like to imagine being there and going, what the hell are you doing? Yeah. Anyway, this new guy comes out October 12th. And I'm so pleased so many of you have placed orders with Larry Edmunds Bookstore, a bookshop.
Good save.
Thank you. And I really, because again, supporting real brick and mortar bookstores is everything. Plus, if you order from Larry Edmunds, he will sign it for you, which makes me very happy. And they are personalized. So it's not just a signature; they are personalized signatures.
Not to you, but to somebody.
Yeah, to whom it may concern. But yeah, it's whenever you can support, whether it's Larry Edmunds or anywhere else, when you can support a real bookstore, please consider supporting a real bookstore. They need you. But yeah, this book is coming out soon, and we've almost finished the audiobook, which will also be coming out, and it's wonderful.
And it has a photo section.
It does have a photo section. You can see little bitty baby Leonard.
Yeah, there's not a lot of photographic evidence of baby Leonard at work. But,
well, there's enough that I can embarrass you, and that's really all that matters. But yeah, he's got great stories, and it's, yeah, I love it. I'm really happy. I'm really happy with the book. Yes, we do. We both have imminent special deliveries. Yeah, I said this thing. We're both having babies this month.
That's right.
He's got a new book, and I've got an actual human. I'll do one more question. Any thoughts on Citizen Hearst on PBS? A few people asking about that.
About to start watching it, and so I have no thoughts as yet. Ask me again next week.
Yeah.
I think by then we will have seen it.
Sure. Therese, I don't know if he does. If you go to their website, you can look. But I'm sure that Jeff, who runs the store, is one of those people who will bend over backwards to make something work. I also know a few people have asked if my dad's going to be doing any in-person signing or any in-person stuff. Unfortunately, with COVID, it's just hard. It's hard, and it's no fun as well to have to meet people with masks on. It's
awkward.
You do what you can do, but it's
it's awkward.
So
let's face
we're
it.
hoping that by maybe December, we'll be able to do something. So at least there can be some human interaction. But if not, the beauty of books is that even when they're not new, they're still there, and it's never a bad time to talk about your book. As any author will tell you, any author will sign their book. You're never sometimes somebody will say to me, do you think they'll mind? I go, no, every author in the world is thrilled to sign their book for you, because books, they're precious and they take a lot of time and blood and sweat and tears.
If you put a year or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 into writing a book, why would you turn somebody down to take 15 seconds and sign it? That's my feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. And also schlepping them around. If someone has gone to the extreme of schlepping a book, then God bless them. I'll do whatever you want. Anyway, it's very exciting. And as an author, when you have a new book, it is a new baby. And I always tell my dad, sometimes when he's getting stressed and he's working and all of that, I say, you need to make sure you have new books coming out because it makes you so happy.
And it's true.
And
it's true.
Authors need to have books.
And it never gets old. The process never gets old.
No. And when they get delivered, when these showed up last week, it was so exciting. Here they are. We get it. We get to hold it and look at it. And especially these hardcovers, they've done a really nice job.
Yeah.
They have that soft touch. So they're lovely. But yeah. And it's a small publishing company as well.
Not so small.
It's small in the sense that it is very much a labor of love. They care very deeply about what they do, and for them, they want every detail to be right.
Yeah.
So they're not one of the. I say small because compared to some of the massive who don't even necessarily know who they publish.
Yeah.
These folks, they care. And I feel that you can see that when you look at it. Just ordered a copy to give to my dad for Hanukkah. That's great.
Great.
I love that.
Which night?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Is this like a 5th night kind of a gift or a 2nd night kind of a gift? Robert says, you signed Hooked on Hollywood for me in Winchester, Virginia. Thank you so much.
Yes, that was a fun trip.
That was such a good trip. Again, I can't wait till we can start doing things again with other humans. That will be very, very exciting. Anyway, here we are again, my friends. It is the end of our Sunday broadcast with you. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
We value each and every one of you, and because you are a part of our community. And that's what I feel like every week is that we have a communal gathering, and the technology of today makes that possible.
Yep. I wouldn't call us a cult.
No.
I wouldn't go that far.
No.
Community. But maybe.
Community.
Much love to you both and Alice. Thank you. I will pass that along. I am trying to get her back on. She's a hard lady to nail down, let me tell you. But yeah, we appreciate you all so much. Everybody, please stay safe and take good care of yourselves and everybody else. It's a crazy time. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.